Hello, welcome to Follow Everton. I'm here with John and Basil to discuss Everton's win at home against Southampton, finally getting that win at Goodison Park under our belts. Basil, how are you feeling? John, how are you doing?
Hi, Ryan. I'm feeling positive because we got the points, but I can't help but say that wasn't a great performance in my view. I was bored stiff throughout that. Not too impressed, but I'm happy we got the points. That's really important to get that voodoo off our back about the Goodison and get the points to get us up the table.
John, it wasn't a great watch, was it? It was a little bit slow.
No, I agree as well. I think we dominated for the first 45 minutes, and then I think we went into halftime thinking that the game is ours. We can take our foot off the gas and just relax. And then towards the end, we could see that they were really coming on to us, creating chances, and we were trying really hard to stop them. And luckily, again, Pickford made a good save towards the end. It was looking very, very shaky.
It was a nervy closing few moments, wasn't it? I think Everton made hard work of that, but Jordan, he did pull off a brilliant save. I think he did keep us in it there, really. And I think, yeah,
yeah, go on.
I think we shouldn't be letting it get to that stage where we're so all over the place and we're vulnerable to that final sort of set piece.
Yeah, we shouldn't. We sort of switched off as we thought we had it in the bag, and then since the 80th minute they really put pressure on us, and we sort of struggled to hold it. Again, you mentioned Pickford made a good save, which he did. However, the Southampton player did actually slip, so we were lucky about that as well. However, I feel I've said this time and time again, Pickford does not have a commanding presence in his box. When he goes out and tries to punch the ball away, it will usually fall back to another opposition player. And you know what? In the end, we were lucky that we didn't concede. And I think also the issue is because we took our foot off the accelerator and we were letting them come at us. If they had scored there, we would have left ourselves little to no time to actually go back up the other end and score. So I think a 1-0 win, although yes, it gives us points to climb the table, which again is very important. We need to score or put pressure on it until we've completely controlled the game and seen it out.
Is that the Goodison complacency we've seen so many times? I mean, it looked a little bit like we lacked intensity. We didn't have enough quality in the key moments. Do you think it was the Goodison complacency we've seen previously, Basil?
I don't know about Goodison complacency. We just looked tepid. We lacked intensity. We didn't seem to want to attack. I mean, it has been. We have done it many times, haven't we? Where we've got into the lead and we've just kind of sat back, especially away from home. I think that sort of mentality came across, and we're just gonna pass it around the back four and hope nothing happens. But you've got to be wary that, even though Southampton are on a bad run, they've got very good quality off-ward prowess on set pieces. It takes us or a lucky deflection or a bouncing ball like we saw near the end, and it could be 2 points dropped. I think the only reason we really got away with that today was Southampton are really poor at the moment.
They're not a good team. I mean, just looking at the stats from Southampton, they have only picked up 1 point in the last 9 games, I believe, if that is accurate. And obviously, they didn't create anything of note themselves. They had 1 shot off target. But the thing is, so did we at the end. So it was kind of as bad as each other.
If it was your West Ham or your Leeds that we've already had, I mean, that's that level of performances. We were slightly better than probably those performances where we lost at Goodison recently, but marginally better, just good enough with that moment of quality to get the goal, and that was really the difference.
I have to say the goal was very, very well worked. It was similar to the goal Everton scored against Spurs in the Cup, where it was around the keeper and then a very tight angle. So Richarlison did do very well to score that. But I think towards the end, it's just about game management. And obviously, we've had many memories in the past of where Everton have dropped points in the last few minutes. Hate to bring it up, but like Newcastle last season, where we were both at the game, 2 goals in 2 minutes in added time. So again, I think it's just about game management, killing the game dead, but then not giving them the chance in the last few minutes to go and attack the goal, because that's where we will slip up, and that's where easy points.
You could argue we managed the game. I mean, they didn't have a shot really till the last 5. They had 1 shot on target at the end, But
It
it was.
only takes one shot though for you to drop points.
I know. Well, I mean, I was disappointed with that, but you could argue we did manage the game out. It's just to then sort of, it's risky. It's a risky strategy because you're gonna concede chances when you naturally drop back, and one chance and you've dropped 2 points.
Don't get me wrong. I think we dominated for 80, 81 minutes of the match. It was just towards the end. We had a few chances going forward, but nothing really came of it. But they were attacking us hard and quick, and it was looking a bit shaky towards the end there.
They do move the ball well, Southampton. That is one thing they are good at. They've got a lot of energy. They move the ball quite sharp, and they are a threat. They've got quick players. They're just coming on from the Follow Everton contributor and Andrew Mabbs. You'll have seen him on our videos before. A win is a win. A win. I think he's trying to say a win is a sign of a good. A win is a win. Sign of a good team winning with a poor performance. I mean, he's correct, isn't he? I mean, that
how you
takes
win,
us.
as long as you win.
Sorry?
It doesn't matter how you win, as long as you win the game. That's what he's saying.
Yeah, 3 important points. And if you look at the table, we're climbing up there. If we win our next game against West Brom on Thursday, then we will go 4th. With
that's a dreaded. That's a
do
dreaded.
We play on Thursday? Do we?
Isn't it? Because I don't want to touch too much on that game, but every time we get an opportunity to go 4th, we seem to bottle it. So let's see.
Yeah, but now we've got a winning run. We beat the I don't know what words I'm allowed to say, but the enemy on the Red Shite on a week back. Good win, and hopefully it puts us in the right mindset to continue forward.
Well, we have gone through these little patches, haven't we, where we've won a few and then we've struggled for a few. So hopefully this is a new run of wins.
Yeah, indeed.
Leave a comment. Do you think Everton have turned a corner today with that win at Goodison Park? Looking at the table, Everton are now 3 points off. Top 4 is in within. They're actually 2 points off. So it is in their hands. And a big 3 points against West Brom would see them climb above West Ham, Chelsea and Liverpool into 4th. And you'd say then with 12 games remaining, they've got a good chance of qualifying for at least Europe.
I think it's definitely a step in the right direction, but to be honest, we should be beating the likes of Southampton and West Brom anyway. It's the next game against Chelsea, which will be a huge game to decide where we finish. Obviously, Chelsea and Liverpool play each other next. So if a draw can come of that, and then we can take something away, a win from West Brom, and then take something from the Chelsea game, then I think we're in a real good chance to get Champions League, and if not, definitely Europa League.
Here's a comment from Laurence Grant. Who I know quite well. Watching paint dry, slightly more exciting. It wasn't very entertaining today, and I think the commentary team was struggling to find things to write home about. But Everton always find a way of making it interesting at the end and giving you a few heart palpitations. I'm going to go through the game then chronologically. So we're going to start with the goal. John, you were a big fan of the movement from Richarlison, weren't you?
Yeah, I think it was a very neat ball initially, and then just the composure and the control to not only step around the keeper, but then also finish in a very tight angle. I think he did very well there.
The formation, the 4-4-2 diamond, we've touched on it a few times, Basil, and we saw it again today. A little bit actually surprised, but it seems to favour the likes of Sigurdsson and Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin. Do you think this could be the way forward in order to keep Everton's best players in their main positions?
It's really interesting one, isn't it, the formation, because it allows Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison both to play in the partnership, but also pack the midfield up with 3 or 4 players, and you can get Sigurdsson or Hammers, who are quite slow players, into that favoured position behind the striker to feed the balls through. And no, we've still got 3 solid players behind. Where we saw today was we had very little width. I mean, you look, Dean did offer a lot of our width on the left, and he's got a quality left foot, so he can do that. On the right, you've got Holgate. I just don't know if we can play that system with Holgate there, because when he tries to cross, it just gets overhit, or
the balance isn't quite right.
Like, the balance isn't quite right. But one thing I did notice today was that setup probably was geared for the Southampton press. It was to have little, the diamond to escape from the press, to go through that diamond, and then get Sigurdsson at the tip to play the balls in behind. But actually, Southampton dropped off. They didn't really press us like you would expect them to, like at the start of the season. So we actually struggled, I thought, to really pass through the lines. We were going sideways and backwards through the keeper, or it was just a punted long ball. I don't know whether that's Alan's probably not match fit, and a little bit like he gets the ball and there's a man right there and he doesn't expect it. I think he just needs more minutes to get back up to speed.
It was great to see him back, though. John, do you think the lack of width did have an impact on Everton's ability to play today?
I think Holgate didn't really offer much down the side, but I think Digne played very well. Did provide width. I know Iwobi came on very, very late. I think it was the 86th or something minute. But I would have liked to see him being introduced earlier because he actually does. But I've been quite critical of Iwobi, but recently I think he has stepped up and it does provide a lot for the team. Just touching on what you said earlier, I'm very happy and excited to see Alan back. Hasn't played since December, but looking forward. I think he's a great signing and look forward to what he can offer for the rest of the season.
He's looking in shades of Thomas Gravis and Ollie Carsley in there with the.
And Ben Godfrey as well. I'm probably one of his biggest fans. I think he is excellent and just proving himself time and time again.
Do you think that we should have made some substitutions a little bit earlier than we did? I mean, Southampton were coming on to us in the last 10 minutes and we didn't really have anything going forward at that point.
I agree. I would have liked to see subs introduced earlier in the game. Like I said, Iwobi for Gomez, I think that was the right move, but probably earlier in the game. Again, Joshua King, I would have liked to see come on earlier as well. And then we had actually a lot of youngsters on the bench who we could have introduced just to give them a run out. And especially if Southampton aren't threatening, it's a good time to introduce the young players in.
Carlo doesn't seem to trust it. He doesn't seem to trust his bench tonight.
Yeah,
but at the same time, there wasn't a great need for them. Southampton, take away the last 10 minutes, they really weren't a threat in any area. So maybe it's Carlo's big plan, trust in big Carlo. For against West Brom and Chelsea, he might have a plan in place for resting different players. And obviously, if Southampton aren't threatening, then there's no real need to introduce new players and to change it up.
Yeah. What do you think of Dixie?
Yeah, what a poster. Shame you're blocking him a bit.
So, I mean, I'm going to give you my thoughts. I thought for the first 30 minutes, we were in total control without really doing that much. We were better than Southampton. And then we were a real threat from set pieces. And I think we could have scored on another day, 2 or 3 from set pieces. But we had the goal that was offside. Holgate, he'd just gone a little bit too early. Do you think he could have held his run there? Or do you think he wouldn't have got it otherwise?
It was actually quite a repeat offence there. Because if you look at the different free kicks throughout the game, quite a few of them, players would have been offside if they went to a goal. And I think they're just mistiming it slightly early. Obviously, it's very touch and go, and very, like every second or millisecond counts. But I think they do need to time it just a bit better. It's finding the right balance. But quite a few of them were offside from quite a few kicks.
They're playing the high line. Southampton, I think they've obviously done their research. They know where threat offset is, and a few teams have done that to us the last few weeks.
I thought that played into our hands.
It does if you get the ball right and you get the run right. Then you know there was one ball I think from Sigurdsson where there was 4 of them on side, and Richarlison nearly got it, and Calvert-Lewin could have got any of them if they'd just been a bit more.
That should have been a lunging chance there.
But
I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah,
should have done better.
We do the opposite. We park ourselves on Pickford. We try and camp in the box if there's a free kick.
I know. Doesn't make sense, but they left obviously Southampton left the high line and we took advantage of it, but the goal was ruled for a small offside on Holgate. I think he should have held his run, and that changed the game really. I think from that moment, Southampton almost acted as if they were 2-0 down and took the initiative and came onto us, and I thought they were the better team for the rest of the first half.
It was like they'd been given a goal back, or they felt like they were actually back in the game, whereas 20 seconds before that they felt like they were down and out. So yeah, they came at us with a bit of energy, using they have got pace in their forward positions, and they came at us, but they just couldn't find a way through.
Yeah. The second half, it felt very much like a repeat of the first for large parts, quite slow and laboured. Everton struggling to find a way through. It was definitely a quiet game. I quite like the Southampton right back, Gineppo. I think he's got a good future ahead of him. He looks quite dynamic and quick. And he did really well against Richarlison in the main. But the longer that second half went on without a goal, you felt that it was going to be a real concern and that Southampton were going to get their chance. And while Southampton looked vulnerable from set pieces, I think we also did as well, as you saw with some questionable clearances from their set pieces.
I feel like the problem with Everton, although we all would love to see Everton do well and keep the momentum going, I feel like there's time and time again where we've seen us slip up in places where we shouldn't be slipping up. And it just causes a lot of stress and worry for all the Blues, which means that when we're coming to the last 10 minutes against Southampton where we've dominated, they haven't had a chance. It's just moments like that where we need to have a bit of composure, relax, not get too complicated in what we're trying to do, because there were a few times where we were trying to flick it past and ball roll, and it should have just been a simple pass or a clearance, and it actually cost us possession quite a few times towards the end. So I think it's just, again, although we'd love to see us do well, there's always a worry for us Evertonians about what's to happen.
I did to be like, I'm not saying it's a good thing, but the backs to the wall defending that we've done in the past when we've been 1-0 up, say at home to, I don't know, Chelsea or Leicester, I know they scored that equaliser, but we actually seemed, concentrating on defending, whereas tonight we didn't seem as concentrated, but Southampton just didn't pose enough to actually threaten us.
Do you think we were masters of our own downfall with that, though? Because I can think of a few just off the top of my head. Michael Keane trying to dribble his way out of play, giving it away. There was Luca Dean diving in on the left, making a rash challenge, giving away a free kick that he didn't really need to do. And then obviously the negative element of playing the 4-4-2 diamond is that Gomez has got to cover the left and Doucouré on the right. And they're not really, I mean, Gomez is okay when he gets dragged out on the ball, but they're in unnatural positions for them. And I think the distribution, again, a little bit suspect. Do you think in a game like that, maybe Doucouré isn't so important, or do you think he becomes ever important? Just thinking on that right-hand side, didn't really offer a lot going forward and wasn't particularly good.
I think he had individual moments where he did show quite a bit of potential there. He delivered quite a few through balls forward, which were unlucky not to create something in the end. But I think as a unit, we've really sorted out our defence and like CDM/centre mids. And I think Doucouré is a very strong player and I think he did play well tonight. There were a few, but I feel like most players had a few iffy moments. But I think overall Doucouré played quite well.
Not everything came off from him, but you can't question his work rate, and his ability to get up the pitch and press is really integral to our performance. So if you take him out that side tonight, I think I think we struggle a little bit more, even if he wasn't offering the quality on the ball. One thing on the midfield, just could touch on briefly, is obviously Tom Davies was missing tonight, and a lot of Evertonians I've noticed have been calling for him to play alongside Alan tonight, possibly with Doucouré in a 3 in the midfield.
Yeah.
Personally, from what I saw tonight with that system, with that shape, I don't know whether Tom plays the Alan role and Alan moves up, or vice versa, but I don't know if they can play together in that system. I think they both really should be playing that deep role. I don't know what you think about that. But
I don't know. I'm glad Davis didn't play. I think you've got to bring Alan back. You've got to play your best players. Davis obviously has improved from what we've seen, but he's not going to be an elite Premier League player. And Alan's proven that he is a top-class player.
Maybe if Davies and Alan work together, then it might be able to unlock a new level for Tom and to be able to actually improve a lot more. Obviously, the players you work with have a big impact on how you perform as well.
But who does he come in for? Because that's
a very good question.
Well, that's why we pay you to come on here, John.
Yeah.
almost like two workhorses, isn't it? If you put Allen and Davies in that defensive mid role,
they play a very similar role.
You need your third midfielder then, because you could argue that you could play three ahead of that, three attacking players, or two wingers and two strikers. I don't know. It gives us options anyway, having these players back, and eventually, if Gbamin ever appears, he'll be another one that plays in that similar role as well.
I don't think we have a set way of playing or a set formation. I think it seems to change week in, week out. We play 4-3-3, 4-4-2, 4-5-1. I think he doesn't have a set style. He's not so rigid as other managers, but
I mean, he's not rigid. I don't think he's found the formation that he's happy to stick with. And fair enough, you probably should adapt week on week in, depending on the opposition, as long as the players know their roles. So, but one thing I will note is Richarlison's goal record in the last few weeks has been very good, and he's been playing up front. So I think that's why he was reluctant to go back to that formation that involves him playing on the left.
I think Richarlison went through quite a dry spell earlier on, but he seems to be coming back out of that and hopefully back to his goal scoring ways. I think Sigurdsson, though, tonight was quite a quiet player. I didn't see, apart from the free kicks, but that's a set piece. But from open play, I didn't think he offered too much.
I was disappointed with Sigurdsson. I think his set pieces were good, but everything else was a little bit.
I don't know. He became a bit anonymous, but if you look at his performance versus James in the derby, what's the difference really? They both made an assist in the first 10 minutes and did pretty much nothing else apart from get the ball occasionally on. So,
if you look at it like that, then he's in there for the assist. He's got the assist. He's created the goal. So, give him credit. I felt at times we were sleepwalking. We were sleepwalking to a draw because I just thought it was only a matter of time before one of those set pieces went in. 83 minutes, we were cut through midfield so easily with incisive passing, and Southampton should score. If you remember, there was a chance they played through us, they cut through us, it went out to the right, and they had a shot and went well wide, but they should have scored. I thought that was terrible from us. Too easy.
But you look at, I know you touched before on the fact we're so close to Champions League in terms of the table now. We're what, 2 points off West Ham. We're not at that level. Look at the performance tonight. We're not at Champions League level. And, the only reason we're there is because the league is so torn apart this year. It's so weak.
I don't think you can knock
it together. Go on, sorry,
I don't think you can knock the we're doing well, and I know it's a much closer competitive season this season, with a lot of teams being close. But I wouldn't knock Everton's overall performance. You can definitely see a change in the team. I've described them as the old Everton way, where it's very backwards, going back to, we could have a penalty and somehow the ball would end up at Pickford's feet going backwards. But I think now we're a lot more creative, quick passing play, and that's the new Everton. So I wouldn't knock their style. I just think today they saw an opponent that were very weak, didn't really offer anything going forward, so they thought they'd sit back and relax. So if you take today's performance and you compare it to a Champions League team or for qualifications, we'd get absolutely battered. But if we were playing a stronger opponent, then I think Everton's attitude would have seriously changed, had a much more positive attitude, and actually gone forward and created a lot more.
But we
raise our game, don't we?
That's an underlying issue, isn't it? That we only raise our game for the big teams.
We raise our game for the big teams.
We've struggled against smaller teams, but just against today's, they didn't really offer much of a threat until the very end. So for Everton, we should be going forward and scoring more and killing the competition as opposed to leaving it at 1-0. But I don't think we were true performance. That I wouldn't say this performance really nails what Everton are about.
Yeah, you say that, John. Obviously, Southampton were pretty crap. I don't think we were that much better. I don't think there was much between them. You say they were crap, and yet they still had that chance to score right at the end. That chance, 83 minutes, I talked about.
That's because I think we've switched off at that point, thinking that they haven't got anything to offer, and then they've come at us at the last minute when we have switched off. So I think it's also a mentality that we can't switch off, and that's why we've dropped so many points in the past, because we're like, you know what, we've won the game, but the game doesn't end until the final whistle goes, and I think that's where we've struggled in the past and dropped points.
Excellent. Yeah. Basil, talk us through that chance at the end for Southampton. I think they should have scored. Calvert-Lewin also steps up for some reason and just leaves 3 people behind him. And on another day, we come away dropping, 2 points there. Talk us through that moment from your perspective.
We're talking about the shot from Vestergaard.
Right at the end, yeah.
Well,
brilliant save.
As far as I can remember it, though, it was a corner and the ball came over and it got cleared, but not cleared far enough, and then it just seemed to drop to some sort of passage of play. It dropped with lucky bounce over to Vestergaard, and he's stretching for it, and Pickford comes out. He comes out big. He gets close to it, and he gets something on the ball, and he stops it. So you've got to give him credit, and he did have a good performance in the Merseyside derby, and he's followed it up with a decent performance. I mean, he had nothing to do, did he, for 89 minutes or something? So you've got to give him credit for being alert to it. And I
think it was a fantastic save.
I know John said he does have a tendency to just parry it sort of 6 yards, but what
the issue with the Everton keepers is, I think Olsen makes some very good quality saves, and so does Pickford. But I think the issue we have is Pickford cannot command his box. I think he makes some very good saves. However, he slips up on the very easy mistakes that us would be able to save. And if you look at previous mistakes, they have cost us so many points. I feel like this whole thing started with the Origi mistake a few seasons back. And since then, it's just been very simple errors. For example, you can make an easy save, block the ball. I can't remember who the opponent was, but a few games back, he reached out to save the ball and it bounces off his arm and goes in. Maybe Leicester. It's simple mistakes like that which like all keepers should be able to make, and then you should also be able to pull off the good saves. For example, last week's game Salah or today's. But in order to be a top keeper, you also need to be able to make the simple saves.
John, I think you hit the nail on the head there. I think he's got to be able to do the basics first and foremost, and then add these extra saves, and that's what sets you apart from being a good goalkeeper who does the basics. Maybe someone like Forster for Southampton, and someone who's going to win your games. I think at the end of the day, he did win us that game right at the end.
I don't know.
I wouldn't deny that. But again, as you said, you need to be able to do the simple things, because let's say a team have 5 shots and one of them is spectacular and you make that save, then it's great and you've done a tremendous effort for the team. But if you're letting in simple shots, which you should be saving, then it just throws away all the good work and it undoes it all. Yeah.
I don't know whether that's a little bit unfair. I think the problem is it's Pickford. You've got to look at what his ability is. He's got good distribution, hasn't he? He's got pretty much really high quality, can pull off a high quality save. His reflexes are very good, but he doesn't command his area. Olsen's got his list of abilities, but they're not complete. Because if they were world class players and they had the full box of tricks and he could command his box, he'd be playing for Man City or someone in Champions League football. So we've got what we've got. We're not going to have an all-round keeper until we get into the Champions League, really, unless we get.
Saying that though, you've got other keepers in the league which I think are much stronger contenders for England #1 spot. For example, Pope or even Henderson as well.
No, I don't agree with Henderson.
No,
if you watched his game last night against Redshite, you would have seen some unreal saves. But Pope is a very strong contender as well.
Again, you look at through his list of abilities, and his distribution's not Pickford's. Look at Pickford tonight. Some of the passes he's played out, from what I can remember, to Dean and one going.
His distribution was great tonight.
It was very good. So I don't think offer you that sort of pinpoint accuracy. So you get what you get. What do you want? You've got to choose what you want. Do you want?
Would you rather distribution, or would you rather security against easy shots and simple saves? Because you can build up play from the back and from your defenders, midfield to forwards. But if you're not making the simple saves, then does it not undo the work that you've previously tried to do?
I think it depends what team you want to be, doesn't it?
There's value in both, isn't there? If you've got the ability to ping that ball up to near the box onto Calvert-Lewin's chest, that's going to get us an assist. He basically got a pre-assist. I mean, he got it to Calvert-Lewin, didn't he? And then he got it to Sigurdsson, and that was a goal. So it was
No,
basically.
I'm not knocking his distribution. I think it is very, very good. I just think he does also need to work on the basics as well. And then you've got a very good keeper there.
Yeah. You just get some high heels or something so he can reach.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to compromise. I think we just need a goalkeeper who doesn't make individual errors. I don't want to focus too much on that today, just because I think he did play well and he kept us in the game. So I'm not going to be overly critical. I'm sure he's going to have his moments that we're going to get a chance to talk about. Have you got anything else you want to say about that game? Where does that leave us now moving forward? Do you think we're in a really good position to go and have a run for Europe?
I think it gives us the positive attitude that we've just. I know we had our loss against Fulham, which again, teams like that we should absolutely be beating, and to not score at all is a joke. But I think the fact that we've just come away from Anfield for the first time, which I'm still celebrating, first time in my life that we've seen Everton win at Anfield, it's just so much positivity. Obviously, Ancelotti has made some terrific signings. I feel like in the past we've lacked in that, thinking that we've got the next big player coming in and they've just failed to deliver. Whereas now we've actually got a good unit, a good team, and we've got obviously Duncan Ferguson and a good coaching team. And I think the whole club, obviously we've got the new stadium coming out as well. I think the whole team is just moving forward in a good way. And I think it inspires positivity into the players, the right mindset, and hopefully we'll be able to string a few wins or good results together. And yeah, I really do see us doing well this season.
Really like your enthusiasm, John. Been an absolute pleasure. Welcome to the channel, and thank you for joining us. Basil, have you got any final thoughts?
I'm just happy for the 3 points. In the morning, it would be just a good feeling to know that we won the game last night. Otherwise, it would be an awful few days. Yeah. So, yeah, let's look forward to the next one, and we're away from home, so we can relax a little bit.
It wasn't vintage Everton today, but Everton got over the line with a 1-0 win at home against Southampton, thanks to Richarlison, who's back in form. Basil, aka David, thank you for joining, and Jonathan, who is a member of the Follow Everton. He's going to be on videos in the future. You'll see him in our little intro/outro that we're going to play for you now. Be sure to like if you're on Facebook and subscribe if you're on YouTube, and help us get going. Thank you for joining us, and I'll see you soon.